Okay, I think we can begin. Hi everyone, welcome to today's webinar. So today we're going to be providing you with an insight into our 5-day leadership development program, which is delivered here at Alliance Manchester Business School. This program has very much been designed with managers and leaders in mind, and we believe that the content that we teach you will ultimately support you in being the best manager you can be. But more of that a little bit later. So some housekeeping to begin with. This session is recorded. You will all receive the recording in your inbox post-webinar, so you can listen to this back in your own time should you need to. We have the chat functionality available today, so please do utilize this. So please share your thoughts, questions and comments throughout the session so we can kind of answer those throughout and towards the end. I would like to begin with some audience participation. So for all of those tuning in live, please do let us know in the chat function where you're based, so where you're tuning in from and what industry you're kind of in. I guess first of all, kind of following on from that, we can start with some introductions from the panel. So my name is Daisy Jones. So for those of you who don't know me, I am a client relations manager based within executive education at the Alliance Manchester Business School. So what my role is all about is I manage a variety of open programs within executive education, including the Manchester Leadership Development Program, the one you're all here for today. One part of my role is to guide and support professionals on an individual basis when they're kind of in their decision-making journey, essentially. So when it comes to them deciding what course is right for their career development, to help them really identify and kind of reach their long and short-term goals. Another part of my role is to talk and speak with heads of learning and development and heads of HR from various different sectors to understand the kind of challenges that they face within their organization. So once we've discussed that part, I then support them in finding the right program to kind of improve efficiency within their teams and really invest in their staff. I'm joined by a fantastic panel today, and I'm going to hand it over to Mike first to introduce himself and say hello.
So hi everybody, I'm Dr. Mike Kennard. I'm the Programme Director for the Manchester Leadership Development Programme. So I'm responsible for the running of the programme, the curriculum, the quality of the teaching, and also kind of post-programme support, particularly for people who are undertaking the ILM award. I'm also an associate professor at the business school in innovation, strategy and entrepreneurship. And within the programme, I teach the day on strategy and innovation. So I joined Manchester in 2019, and I focus on teaching adult learners, leaders, managers within executive education. Previous to that, I was a program director at University of Birmingham, the MBA director at the University of Aston, and my management and industrial and business experience is from Rolls-Royce Aero Engines, where I spent 10 years after graduating as an aero engineer. So very, very happy to be here today to meet you all, and I'll be talking a bit later about the structure and the content of the programme and taking any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Mike. And Richard, over to you. So just for our audience knowledge, we have Richard joining us today. So Richard was actually a delegate on the Manchester Leadership Development Programme, so he's going to be sharing his experiences a little bit later. But first, Richard, can you just say hello and introduce yourself briefly?
Yeah, thanks, Daisy. So I'm Richard Gaston. I work for Adelshaw Goddard, which is a international law firm with about 2,500 lawyers and business services professionals like me worldwide. My role is to help the firm exploit its knowledge assets. So that's everything that we know about the practice of the law and the sectors in which our clients operate. And when we do that well, that keeps our people motivated, engaged and happy, and enables us to bring the best of the firm to the work that we do for clients. I've been doing these kind of roles for over 20 years now. I started my career in an investment bank in the City of London, then for Quango in the northwest of England, and I have been working for Adelshaw Goddard since March 2011. And I spend my time at home in Manchester and in our office in the centre of Manchester, so just up or down the road from the Alliance Manchester Business School. And that's me.
Thanks, Richard. It's great to have you with us today. So I guess next I'm going to talk to you a little bit about Alliance Manchester Business School. So who are we and kind of what makes us so special? So Original Thinking Applied sits at the heart of everything we do here at AMBS. We're part of the University of Manchester, which some of you may already know is a highly ranked institution, not just here in the UK, but internationally and globally as well. The business school was established in 1965. We were one of the first 2 UK business schools to be established. And, you know, we've been around for a pretty long time, but we've remained at the top of our game when it comes to our academic teaching and research. We have a global reach, so we have our Manchester hub, and you can see a very sunny picture of Manchester on your screens in front of you today. But we also operate in our international centres as well. So we have international centres out in Hong Kong, Shanghai, Singapore, and Dubai. And what that means is our kind of alumni population and community is so diverse because we are based internationally and across the globe. The theory and academic expertise that we teach you, especially on the Manchester Leadership Development Programme, can really be put into practice from day one. So what that means is our courses, and this particular course has been very much designed in a practical way. So, you know, what we teach you can be implemented straight away in your own practice, and you can start to see results. We're triple accredited, so very few business schools have this triple accreditation, and that really sets us apart from the competition and is something really you should bear in mind when you're kind of weighing up your options for the institution of choice. One thing I want to mention here is obviously myself and the team, the rest of the team of client relations are constantly speaking with businesses, with industry and working professionals. So what that means for us is our courses stay very relevant. We're constantly feeding back to the programme development teams, our academic teams, to make sure that the content and what you're learning is commercially led and really benefits yourself in your own practice. So Manchester Leadership Development Programme, it's a 5-day intensive course delivered here in person at our Executive Education Centre. It's accredited, so we have the ILM Recognised Development Programme accreditation. ILM stands for Institute of Leadership and Management. In terms of how you learn, so it's varied. We have in-person workshops, you know, here at our Executive Education Centre, where you'll kind of meet like-minded professionals from various different sectors and kind of industries. You'll do a lot of group learning during those 5 days and a lot of reflective discussion. So you're not just learning from our fantastic academic teams and obviously Mike himself, you're going to be learning from each other, which, you know, is a real benefit when you're kind of talking through leadership styles, how you lead your own teams and how you lead yourself. You'll have an online learning platform throughout that you can access, and there'll be guided webinar support post-programme as well. In terms of the assessment, so there's no formal exams. If you choose to do the full programme, which includes the ILM award, and we'll talk a little bit about what this all means a bit later, and there will be an assignment involved, which is around 2,500 words, which is not a lot when you think about it. It's very much doable, and it's very much related to your own practice, which I think makes things a little bit easier. You know, you're talking about something that you're really doing in your own practice. We run this programme 3 times per academic year. We've got an upcoming date in October, so not too far away, the 3rd to the 7th, and then we're going to be running this programme in February and July next year as well. My role really, you know, as I said at the beginning, is to support you in this decision-making journey and hopefully get you through and onto this programme. So, you know, if you are wanting to kind of speak to me in detail about whether or not this course is the right thing for you at this point in your career, give me a call, drop me an email, and we can kind of discuss that and hopefully take the next steps with AMBS. Mike, I think that's enough from me. I'm going to hand it over to you now, if you don't mind.
Yeah, so thanks very much, Daisy. So we have, I think it's fair to say, a very wide variety of sort of delegates and participants who sign up to the programme, and you know, I think that really kind of strengthens the kind of body of knowledge and experience within the cohort. So as Daisy said earlier, it's really important to recognise that you'll be learning from the instructors who are kind of specialists in their field for each of those topic areas, but you're also learning from the sort of shared experiences and knowledge of the other delegates. So people who sign up to this course and are interested in the program have experience in management and leadership, and they're looking to develop their capabilities. So a big part of the program is critical reflection on your experiences as a manager, and that really helps you engage with the topic materials across the 5 days. So the course attracts a variety of people, so leaders, managers, directors, departmental heads, CFOs, CEOs, and the sectors are very broad as well. So sales, marketing, finance, legal, IT, engineering. We have people from large private sector businesses, SMEs, startups, and also public sector, so NHS, local government, civil service, central government, etc. So it's a really rich and diverse cohort, which is a real strength of the program. So next slide, please, Daisy.
Thanks, Mike. Before I go into the next slide, I was just having a look in the chat function. We've got a really diverse audience joining us today as well. So it's great to kind of have so many of you from different industries with us. I just wanted to kind of make reference to that. So thank you so much for kind of sharing your industry and where you're based. We've got some local, some not so local. So it's great. Thank you so much. Mike, back to you.
Yeah, someone from the brewing industry, which is one of my great hobbies.
I did see that one.
So it's a 5-day program. It's face-to-face. It's delivered here on the University of Manchester campus. We have a recently specially built executive education facility, which I have to say is fantastic. As I say, I've worked and taught in many other universities, and I think this is the best facility I've come across. The teaching style, you might have had experience of maybe undergraduate courses or master's courses, and maybe what you've come across is someone stands at the front and talks for an hour or two, and you take notes, and then it's all over. And that's very much not what we do on MLDP. So it's very much a participative style. It's around discussions and reflection and kind of sharing experiences, exercises, cases, to really bring home some of the topics that we're covering during each day. Day one, we start with leadership and practice. So this is all around a Hogan assessment. So we ask participants to complete a Hogan assessment prior to the start of the program. There's several, as I'm sure you're aware, different types of psychometric evaluation, but we certainly feel that the Hogan assessment is the strongest one, the most useful one, and one that really focuses on how people behave and how people lead in the work environment. So it's all around reviewing your Hogan assessment, getting peer review support from the facilitator, and before you lead others, leadership is difficult, but knowing more about yourself and your own preferences and your own style, and maybe some of your hidden areas and potential weaknesses. So how your personality influences your leadership, and leading at your best, and also leading under pressure. So quite often you find that people's leadership style changes when pressure is brought into a particular situation, and having the awareness on how that affects you is really, really important. Day two follows on the leadership theme. So this is leading teams and talent. I think this is a really important day. So I think the times where the leader knew everything and just told people what to do are long gone. The world is far too complex for that, and the leaders are reliant on their teams. And a big part of the leader's job is trying to get the best out of their teams, to motivate them and to support them through their work. So the focus on day two is on practical application of leadership theory and practice, learning the principles for building and leading high performance teams, how to motivate and influence members of a team, trying to characterize, so what are the characteristics of an effective team and what are the characteristics of a dysfunctional team, and kind of developing the diverse talent pool within your organization. Day 3, it's finance for managers, and this is a day which is not designed to turn you into a finance director if you're not a finance director. If you want to become a finance director, we have many other courses and programs within the business school where we'd be very happy to point you in that direction. But finance, it's a very, very important aspect of businesses and all organizations, particularly around understanding how the numbers are showing how you're performing and how they're influencing decision making for leaders and managers. And I think we're very, very fortunate to have a very, very good instructor for day 3, who really breaks down finance into easy to understand chunks that you can really take home and apply into your workplace. So it's around understanding financial conversations and being able to make a contribution around meetings which cover finance. We look at commercial business management, seeing company financial accounts in 3D. So this is looking beyond the numbers. So what are the numbers actually telling us? How does that influence decision making and strategy? And also developing your own business dashboard. So what are the key metrics that you need to be considering and measuring and reviewing, which are going to show you how your business is developing. Day 4 is project management. So whether you've got project management in your job title or not, project management, it's all about getting things done, and it's all about execution of strategy, and it's a really important discipline. And in my business and industrial experience, I spent much of that as a project manager, so I can understand it's a very challenging thing to do. Within this day, we learn from real world examples of projects. We look at project life cycle, processes, tools and techniques for managing projects. We look at understanding success and failure within projects and evaluating decision making. We look very much at the human aspect of project management, and also the kind of building positive relationships with stakeholders across projects, and also the process of project management. So planning out the project, then executing the project, and finally closing. And closing a project is really important because it's drawing it to a close, but also it's capturing the experience and the knowledge which has been generated within that project, so that you can then apply it to the next project effectively. And day 5, I'd like to say best to last, but all the days are good. This is my day. This is strategy and innovation, and we put strategy and innovation together because if you have a strategy but it's not integrated and incorporating innovation, it's going to be inherently weak. And similarly, if you're doing some very interesting work on innovation within your organization, but that's not kind of hardwired and integrated into the organizational strategy, you're going to have less success, and it's going to be less effective than you'd otherwise hope. So this day is all about thinking more strategically, looking at strategy from different perspectives, and particularly thinking about choice and decision making within the organization and integration with innovation. So we're going to look at several strategic tools, how they can be used to make strategic choices, and what characteristics you'll be looking for to design and develop and deliver an effective strategy. We look at strategy and innovation through the lens of opportunities and risk. So what opportunities are there within your organization, and what's the level of risk that you're prepared to undertake to go for some of those opportunities. And finally, and this is very important, so if you're thinking about innovation as it's quite random, and there's a lot of luck involved and serendipity, and it's all light bulb moments and having eureka moments at home, well, all of that can happen, and if that does happen, that's great, and you're very fortunate, and you should write down those ideas. But the most effective organizations, they run innovation as a very rigorous and systematic process, so they can generate repeatable results. And we'll be looking about how to develop your own innovation processes within your organization. So that's a quick summary of the 5 days. There's 2 other elements of the program as well, which are kind of optional elements. The first, as Daisy mentioned earlier, is the ILM award. So there's an opportunity to undertake an ILM award. It's a level 7 award. So level 7 is master's level. So what you'll do, you'll undertake a project within your workplace. This project is addressing a challenge or an opportunity or solving a problem within your organization, so it generates additional value and return on investment for your organization. And when it's complete, you write up your experience in a reflective practice paper, which is then assessed as a piece of coursework by the university and then approved by the ILM. So the length of that reflective practice paper is 2,500 words, which might sound a lot, but it's not. And the sort of common issue that I have with people is they say, oh, I can't fit it into 2,500 words. I wish I had 5,000 words, but that's the word limit. And of course, you're supported by academics and myself throughout the process of going through your project and also the reflective practice paper. And we offer online action learning sets where you can have the opportunity to talk to myself and also talk to some of your peers who are also undertaking the project. So plenty of support for the ILM elements. The second element, which is pretty popular, is coaching. So this is for people who want to get further insights and further support around leadership and the leadership style and sort of developing their leadership capabilities. And we use 3 very, very good and very experienced coaches who are external to Alliance Manchester Business School, but we use them for other programs as well. So the coaching elements, it's 3 45-minute sessions spread out across around 3 months with these coaches. So it's all around developing a more self-awareness of yourself as a leader, developing a deeper understanding of obstacles and barriers that you might need to overcome to develop your effectiveness, and building your ability to lead effectively with greater confidence. So benefits, just a very quick summary. People who undertake the course, they develop and increase self-awareness of themselves as a leader. That's very, very important. Understanding your team and how to develop and support and get the best out of your team. Build your confidence to ask difficult questions, maybe finance questions, and make informed and accurate decisions in the workplace. Gain a practical understanding of financial management. So if you're if that's an area where you haven't had much experience in, this is a fantastic day, which can really bring you up to speed on some of the main areas of finance. That being said, we've had finance directors on the program, and they've derived a huge amount of value from that day. Constructing a framework to think more strategically within the context of your own organization, and learning a process for developing and promoting innovation within the workplace. Honing your project management skills. So this is really important. Project management, it's all about execution and coming away with a toolkit for delivering projects. And finally, for those people who want to undertake the ILM elements, it's designing a work-based project to apply your learning and to deliver business impact. And what we find with people who undertake the ILM element, not only do they come away with the actual level 7 award, but they say by doing that project and by doing the reflective practice paper, it's really kind of underpinned and reinforced the learning that they've experienced within the 5-day program.
Thank you, Mike. That was really insightful. So in terms of the outcome, before we move on to kind of that Q&A with Richard, who can really share his experiences and the benefits the course has had for him. So the outcome, obviously, you'll gain kind of skills, confidence, and the tools to really become the best leader you can be. You'll also, if you choose to go down the ILM route, you'll also come out with an ILM level 7 award. But finally, you'll become part of a network. So we have an executive education network here at the Alliance Manchester Business School. It's very much growing. It's a growing network of like-minded professionals. We're growing our course portfolio and that focus on different kind of topics and different things like that. once you become part of this network, you'll start to receive information from us about new program launches that may or may not be of interest, top class speaker events you'll be invited to, and much more. So, you know, you'll stay in touch with AMBS post program. We like to think we've got a great community of individuals and obviously academics as well. So, you know, you become part of this network that you'll kind of hopefully be with for forever. I think the bigger the network you have, the more opportunities that opens for you. So hopefully that gives you a good insight into what is to come post program. But I think the most exciting part of this event is what's next. So I'm going to bring Richard into this. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And Richard, I'm going to ask you the first question, please. Can you tell our audience about your background? I know you touched on it briefly at the beginning, but can you just kind of give us a bit of an insight into you and your background, please?
Sure. So I am a career research, knowledge, information professional, and I've spent all my working life first, you know, hands-on doing business research and analysis, and that is with the aim of, you know, winning new business, or in the case of my public sector role, attracting new foreign direct investment into Northwest. And increasingly over the last 10 years, I've been focused on leading teams of people who do that kind of work. My management experience has been was quite limited, I guess, in terms of formal training prior to the course, and lots of that was very much learned hands-on and picked up along the way.
Great, thank you, Richard. So what is it, or can you tell us something that you love about your job?
I think there are a number of things. So I think I've got that advantage of lots of people in leadership positions of you know, a significant degree of autonomy. I'm the most senior person in my organization doing what I do. So I guess I have the privilege and the responsibility of, you know, setting a strategy for what the firm does around knowledge, which is pertinent to the conversation about the course. I've got a budget to manage. I've got a team that I lead directly, and I guess that variety then of trying to set a vision and strategy for the firm around the way it manages and shares knowledge, and then work out new and creative ways to deliver that. And I think then that autonomy, by virtue of the role and the culture of the organisation in which I work, is probably the thing that I enjoy most. It's also possibly the most terrifying thing as well, because sometimes you can definitely feel as though you're making it up as you go along. But I think the payoff from that is the opportunity to innovate, I guess, and do things differently, and have a real impact, I think, on the firm's relationships with clients, with the people within our business, and also what I guess I bring to my wider profession and my own network of peers doing similar things in other law firms and other professional services contexts as well.
Thanks, Richard. I saw Mike smiling when you mentioned the word innovate there. So I think Mike will be very pleased that you're innovating in your day-to-day role. You know, I think your role seems, well, very much varied. What does a typical day look like for you?
Untypical. I suspect a lot of people at school will have you know, a set of internal stakeholders and clients, and possibly external stakeholders and clients as well. And even if you've only got an internal client group somewhere, you know, they will have external pressures, and those can change. So I think that's probably where some of the excitement and, you know, what I enjoy about my job comes from, is that no 2 days are the same, and the day that I've planned and the week I've planned can be really different. If, for example, we've got last minute opportunity for the business to pitch new work, and that'll call upon my team and me to help build that case around a proposal, about stuff that goes wrong, as it always does. And again, part of my role is to make sure that, you know, problems get fixed, and where people are, you know, unhappy or got problems, those get resolved quickly. What I think a typical day is supposed to involve, and where I guess I'm always trying to bring my time back to, is a mixture of managing and delivering a portfolio of projects. So that will be things that I have set for myself, my team, and a function to do, but also collaborating with other teams on other firm-wide projects where I can bring a contribution or expertise to that. My job is to constantly listen to the business. So that's about engaging with senior stakeholders across both the legal, the lawyer population in our business and our business services professionals. And that's, again, that constant adjustment, realignment of strategic priorities to make sure they reflect the needs of the business. But it is also about continuing to prove and demonstrate the value of the team that I lead. And I guess you might think about that almost as sort of internal business development. Is about finding new opportunities for the team and new ways that we can develop our services. And I guess that's where that innovation piece comes in. I'm a coach. I've had some coaching training, and I've got 3 or 4 coaching clients that I work with internally outside my immediate team. And so there is that people aspect as well in terms of people development for the people that I manage directly, firm-wide initiatives about trying to change the way people behave, and then those very tailored one-to-one interactions with people where I'm trying to coach them and help them be the best they can be too.
Thanks, Richard. That's great. You do a lot. I'll give you that. It's very, very varied. So just quickly on the coaching aspect you mentioned there, did you think, or do you think MLDP helped you kind of within that coaching part?
I think if you then think about the components of that leadership program and the things that happened within the 5 days and things that happened afterwards, and the coaching was the thing that happened outside the program, I think that was super helpful. It was very tied back to the Hogan model that we'd experienced during the program, where I guess we'd learned about that theoretically and how that might apply to us as leaders, and then to work with a coach around that model and what we'd learned from that was super helpful. And I guess I've benefited from a couple of coaching interventions like that in the course of my career, and I'm really pleased and happy to be able to bring some of that experience and now my developing coaching practice, I guess, to other parts of business as well.
Brilliant, thanks, Richard. So going back to MLDP, thinking back way back when you joined us, and when you were thinking about whether or not this is the right kind of thing for you, what were your motivations when you kind of were thinking about studying MLDP, and why in particular you chose AMBS?
So I think it's probably a phrase that I heard originally from some of the professional materials around the course about, and I touched on this in one of my earlier answers about this idea that lots of us are accidental leaders and managers, that particularly if you've not been through a sort of business studies MBA type program, very early on in your career, perhaps it's a sort of first or post-grad experience, you pick a lot of stuff as you go along. And I think 20 years in, it was becoming really important to me to, I guess, test some of that learned experience against theory, and to see what I could learn more formally to improve that and make it better. I definitely also was then thinking about options for more professional personal development on that spectrum of courses, from sort of MSc type program to an MBA, and I think this felt like a really sensible way to start re-engaging with I guess that blend of academic and practical stuff around leadership and management that I got from the course itself.
Thanks, Richard. Mike, I'm going to bring you in at this point, if that's all right. Now, we're talking about the accidental leader. Mike, what's your thoughts on kind of why is it that so many leaders, managers have inadequate training or become the accidental leader?
Yeah, it's an interesting one, and I myself am an accidental leader. I think organisations when they make hires, whether it's graduate hires or experienced hires, they're looking for kind of specialist skills, knowledge, qualifications. So company will hire engineers or scientists or technologists or IT people or medical people or law people, because that is the nature of their business, and you join and you're given roles to sort of deliver stuff within your organization, and over time magically you become a manager. You know, either there's an opportunity internally and you think, yeah, I fancy that, I'm going to put my hand up, or quite often you are persuaded by someone within your organization that something really needs to be done, and you should very much do it. So I think a lot of people fall into management, and management leadership is very, very challenging. I think people pick up things along the way. You know, they learn from experience, they learn from their mistakes. Hopefully they've got a supportive manager themselves who can sort of help and coach them. They'll be observing how other managers behave, good or bad, and try and do the best that they can do, and sort of navigate this very, very challenging environment. You know, and you know, I think that's a sort of similar pattern for many organizations, whether they're big, small, public sector, and private sector. But I certainly feel that there is a really important role that formal management and leadership training can play to support managers and leaders in their development, and give them a wider perspective on different aspects of leadership and management, and a more well-developed toolkit that they can use that can help them you know, deal with some of these real challenges that they'll face within the workplace.
Thanks, Mike. You're absolutely right. It is like a toolkit, kind of what we teach and what you teach and lead on MLDP. You know, professionals can refer back to all of this when they're kind of in their own practice and in their day-to-day. You can refer back to your learnings, those reflections, that assignment piece, if you choose to kind of go down that route, which I think, you know, ultimately benefits leaders, managers post-program for a very long time. So thank you for that, Mike. Sorry for bringing you in earlier than planned. Richard, I'm going to come back to you now. So, you know, going back again, thinking to when you were thinking about MLDP and selecting this course, were there any particular aspects to the program that stood out to you? Any particular days, units, modules?
Yeah, I think probably one of the things that swung it for me was Mike's module about innovation and strategy. How convenient for us all. And
thanks, Richard.
I'm saying, well, thanks. And I don't. It might sound flippant, but I don't mean that. You know, I think it's really easy as a leader to be a little bit intimidated by that word strategy or by strategic thinking. But yeah, it's a really crucial part of being an effective leader, to be able to shape, direct, share, communicate, and deliver against a strategy for your function. And again, back to the accidental leadership bit, it's like, you know, I had written strategies in the past, which I had made up, and I think, like lots of those things, the real benefit of the course, I think, is the mixture of, you know, the theoretical, the academic framework, the practical experience from, you know, people like Mike and the other course tutors who've done that thing in the real world organizations, and actually just a little bit of, you know, permission away from the day job to start thinking about those things, and that they did then go on to form the basis of my assignment, and I have now got a strategy document, which is now on its second major iteration, because I've been refreshing it over this summer as well, that I am really happy with and very proud of, and is definitely increasingly aligned to the needs of our own business, and very credible when I take it to senior stakeholders in the business as well. So yeah, strategy and innovation was one of the key hooks for me. Yeah,
and I can remember when Richard was on the course, and as the program director, I'm there for 4 or 5 days, and I had a conversation with Richard, I think on the Monday lunchtime, and Richard said, "Yeah, I'm looking forward to the strategy and innovation day, because I've got to write one next week." And I thought, wow, I'm feeling under pressure a bit now to do something that's kind of useful and valuable and practically orientated. But yeah, it's many people coming onto the course will have a specific challenge or specific focus, which are looking to gain additional insights and knowledge and understanding, which will help them address a particular challenger aspect within their role.
Brilliant, thanks Mike and Richard. So we're all about impacts here at AMBS. Richard, what, you've touched on this before really, but what impact has the course had on your current role? What kind of skills, knowledge, confidence have you kind of implemented in your day-to-day?
Okay, lots of things. So I think talked a little bit about the strategy thing. So there was a direct trade-off between things that I had to do, right then at the time that was in the course, and what I was getting from it. I think another key lesson or concept I took away from the course and some of the course tutors and sessions was this idea of the incomplete leader, and I genuinely think that helped me to change my management style and how I felt about the work that I do. That recognition that I didn't have to be everything, didn't have to be this sort of superhuman leader, and I think it's made me probably more collaborative, relaxed and open in terms of the way that I work with my team, trying to bring on leadership and management qualities in other people, particularly in areas which I don't find particularly easy myself. So that has been a big change, and I think that the last impact was probably relates, I guess, Dave, to your point about network. There were lots of great conversations with other course participants, and lots of shared learning. So people doing projects which are very similar to things, sort of challenges that I was wrestling with in the moment when I was on that course in very different contexts. And there was some really good sort of cross-fertilization of expertise, ideas, and that you wouldn't necessarily predict that from the course itself, but I think that's definitely a benefit of a really diverse group of attendees. I think you could probably guarantee that you'll find people with useful stuff to teach you about problems that you're facing in your own organisation, but through the lens of a really different sector organisation, that might help you think differently about those as well.
Thanks, Richard. That's really great to hear that you found that kind of network of individuals, the access to them and those discussions that you had really beneficial. That's brilliant. So what advice would you give to professionals who are sat there maybe hopefully thinking about joining MLDP over the next kind of 12 months?
I think don't underestimate the time commitment, but also recognize that it's worth it in the end. There is the time that you spend in the classroom, the program, there's the time preparing for each of the sessions, and if you choose to do it, the assignment afterwards, the coaching, and it's definitely worth being up for that commitment, preparing for it, because I think you'll derive the most value out of the course. I do think it's worth trying to hear or listen to the experiences of the course participants if you needed convincing. And I also found personally that I think in many ways it should be a really easy sell to whoever's got to approve your time and the cost of the course. I think it's the Manchester Business School brand is very credible, and I found it very credible internally. It gave it some real cachet, and I think that you're only going to be out of the business for 5 days, but here's the tangible outcomes are things to focus on, because it's probably one of the easiest business cases I've had to write for myself. It probably did sell itself.
Thanks, Richard. You're absolutely right. 5 days in the grand scheme of things isn't a long time at all. And I think, not just the individual like yourselves getting that benefit, getting those confidence, the skills, the knowledge, but the organisation is going to see the benefit as well, and the teams that kind of you lead. So you're absolutely right. It's a really good point, Richard. And thanks so much for sharing your thoughts, your journey with us today. Mike, just to wrap up, what are you looking forward to most about welcoming our next kind of cohort of learners onto MLDP?
Yeah, it's again, to touch on earlier, it's a diversity of the cohort. People from different roles, different organisations, public sector, private sector, different pathways within their role and their career. And what you find within the program is people who sign up, they've thought quite carefully about what they want to get out of the program. They're highly motivated to do it. They're really engaging. They share their experience. They participate in the discussions. And it's really interesting to meet them, get a flavour for their organisation, get a flavour for their challenges. And many times the delegates are sharing things which are causing me to think about strategy and innovation in a different way, and then I'll try to incorporate that into the next running of the program. So yeah, I mean, they're a great bunch of delegates always, and it's a real pleasure to meet them, to welcome them to the business school, and sometimes invite them back for webinars.
That's definitely a perk, I think, Mike. Wouldn't you agree, Richard?
I think it's a good thing to do, and I think a nice way, positive way to be reminded of some of the things that I learned from the course, and maybe actually usefully. And it's another key lesson from the course itself and the tutors about the importance of reflection for all of us, even in the moment, as well. It's a really good way of getting better each day.
Great point, Richard. Thank you. Mike, we've had some questions from the audience, which is great. Thank you so much for all of your involvement and engagement today. Mike, how is this different then from the leadership apprenticeship training?
Yeah, really good question. So we actually have a apprenticeships program. It's a postgraduate diploma. It's undergoing a restructuring and refresh as we speak, but it's going to be an 18-month program. So the apprenticeship program, it's 18 months. If your organisation qualifies for the apprenticeships levy, you can send people on that. It covers, I think it's 8 distinctive topics. Each one of those has a 2-day workshop here at Manchester, with some online seminars and online support as well. In terms of topic areas, fairly similar to MLDP. So I actually teach on the apprenticeship program myself around innovation and entrepreneurship. We also cover things like project management. We also cover things like strategy. So apprenticeship program, it's a longer program. It's a 18-month commitment. It results in a postgraduate diploma. The MLDP is a concentrated version of that, where it's 5 days face-to-face in the business school. You cover these 5 important and related topics, and you come out on the Monday morning able to apply them within your role. But anyone who's actually interested in the apprenticeship program, please drop Daisy your email, and we'll be very pleased to point you in the direction of the guys from the business school who are leading on that.
Thanks, Mike. And yeah, absolutely. Just to kind of reiterate your point there, do get in touch. If you're sat there weighing up your options, we have a suite of programs. Obviously, today we're talking about Manchester Leadership Development Programme, the one we hope you choose. But we work with a really close, fantastic team of other kind of individuals, and we can happily direct you to the right person should you be interested in our apprenticeships or anything else for that matter. Mike, so someone else in the chat, I'm in the process of finishing a micro-credential course in people leadership and management that goes over similar topics except finance and project management. Would this, in addition to ILM, be enough to justify taking this course? What are your thoughts on that, Mike? So
this person's already completing a course that sort of focuses on leadership.
Yeah, so in the process of finishing up a course in people leadership and management.
Yeah, so I would say you'll get a different set of kind of perspectives and insights from the Manchester Leadership Development Programme. And if you're particularly interested in strengthening your perspectives on things like project management, then we cover that. I think it's fair to say, and it's my experience across all the universities I've worked for, that even if 2 topic areas are similar or have the same title, it's all around the person who's actually delivering it. So 2 people from different institutions delivering a day on leadership, for example, are going to have different perspectives, and you can draw additional value from both. So it's certainly, if you're completing that course, we'd certainly welcome you on MLDP, and look forward to your contribution and your insights that you could share with the class.
Thank you, Mike. So I've had a few more specific questions. So what I will do is come back to those individually over email. You know, this is specific to different individuals. So I'll come back to you all over email on those, and we can perhaps have a bit of a in-depth one-to-one conversation as well. On your screens, there's a QR code where you can book your place today if you feel that we've given you enough information to do so. So feel free to scan that if you are ready, but if you're not and you want to have a bit of a conversation, here's my contact details on your screen. So you've got my email there and telephone number. If you want to give me a ring after this webinar, for those listening live, I will be around. I'll have my lunch a little bit later, just in case anyone wants to kind of chat something through with me. But Mike, Richard, thank you so much for being a part of today. Richard, thanks for coming along and sharing your experiences, and Mike, obviously, thanks for showcasing your expertise and the course. Really, really appreciate it. And, you know, to our audience who've been really engaged with us and kind of interacted, thank you, and thanks for sharing your questions with us today. For those who are listening to this on a watch back, you know, I hope you've also found it very insightful, and please get in touch with me if you've got any additional questions. Very much happy to support you in hopefully taking the next steps with AMBS. Mike, Richard, is there anything you'd like to kind of say before we close today?
No, thanks very much for inviting me to come back and talk about my experiences, which are all really positive. Thank you.
I'll just say many thanks to everybody who's taken time out from their day to come onto this webinar. Hope you found it useful and informative. I personally hope that it's going to tip you towards wanting to come onto the MLDP, and if you do, then I really look forward to welcoming you onto the programme. And as Daisy said, if there are some additional questions or clarification or information that you would require, we're sort of very, very happy to have a additional conversation with you.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks again, Richard. Take care, everyone.